with Roxana, which is, what are you, Roxana? So Roxana is my partner, and we have been working together for years. We were in a company called Monster. Well, Roxana blog, my blog is Scanner, and the product that we're making, this game, Vision for Game, that I'm gonna explain how and why we made this game, and a bit of tips. So, and we have 20 minutes, right? Sorry? Timer. Okay, like 20 minutes, like. So these are some of the brands that we work with Roxana in a company called Monster Lab, a Japanese company. While she was in my office and I was in Berlin. I live in Berlin, by the way, and my colleague lives in Dubai, in the Emirates. And this is important because on one side, with all these brands, we had a lot of experience with augmented reality. We worked with products and placing, and it was like some complexity related to the experience of augmented reality on our platform, right? And on the other side, we are really the second web. And on the other side, we work remotely. So we need a way to communicate and make our meetings and have a way to coordinate how to make the game, what is the place, how it feels, what is the playability, and company. So we are making this company called Ready to Check, and we are presenting this game, which is called the Green Spur. Okay? The Green Spur is just available for Vision Pro. It's an escape room style game that you play immersive, and it's completely made on native technologies on the left. What it means by native, we use RealityKit as rendering engine. Rendering engine, for those who don't know, is the way that you construct 3D to image and how you get from the calculations to pretty much the image that you are seeing on the screen in this sense. Rendering engine for image. So you make your model and all the process of texturing it, it goes through the rendering engine. Like RealityKit on a specific is a real-time rendering engine, like any game, like Unreal, like Unity, but it's considered to be less powerful in a sense, right? It's like it has less time, it has more complexity and less flexibility. So it's a challenge by itself. And I want to mention capabilities because when we started with Roxana working together remotely, we started trying to do Google Meet or Zoom or WebEx, and none of that really worked for us until we started using FaceTime with shared like 3D personas. I don't know if you have seen, there is these avatars which are eager, you know, but when you start using it, they are enough for your brain to think that somebody's in the room. And at the minute two, you're pretty much talking with somebody in the room, and you don't care about what is that person. And it's really interesting because you can tell something like, yeah, I want you to fix this, and this is awful, and I can see that is pointing to the place that we have to change. And because we're doing something really, also we can talk about things like the texture, how bright is it? So things that you cannot really transmit easily on Google Meet or anything, right? So for us, special personas, even in FaceTime, has some limitations, and we know special personas itself has proven speed us in working on remote. So while we were figuring out what to do with RealityCheck and how to make the game, Apple announced a framework called Tabletop Kit. Tabletop Kit is a framework native from Apple, just for Vision Pro, that is really constrained to make tabletop games, so game boards that you play on a table. And so for us, it was interesting for the side of like it's a multiplayer tabletop game. It's not only like for making games like a one-to-one. It was like there's a complexity layer solved here that can be used for us. So we started investigating, and really fast we found out that we needed more background, not only technology, we needed a bit of a story too on the game and a framework to do. So I want to give you this as part of like, if you're doing a game and you need to think on the story, go and learn about the story. This is the way they work in industrial like a magic. It's really interesting. It's how you make interactive stories instead linear stories and all about like the feeling and the immersive storytelling. It's something like we had to learn. It was really, really interesting for us. So yeah, if you visit 3 hours, you should go there. And it's all about, if you have been in the exhibition, you have seen some of these experiences, right? Like going to an empty space and having an experience in an empty space that is whatever you decide to interact with your space. On top of that, we use some framework that we use on our previous company called Design Fiction that helps you to prototype elements to the future. So it helps you to create elements. So if you are going to create a game, we wanted to create a science fiction game, but we want to create a believable future. So how do you construct a future? We use this framework, also recommended if you want to go on the story. One of the techniques for using that framework is it's a maze of cards, and you bring the cards random, and you have to make brainstorming with these cards. So when we were working in our game, this was the start of the game. So we needed to do something like when you are lonely, related to a chair, that the chair itself was with gamification somehow, and we had to express everything we had to do in a photo spec, so in a blueprint, like the IKEA modeling thing. So this was some of the constraints that we used for in the game. So we used Tabletop Kit, and we put all these ideas, and the start was really rough. Really, really rough. This was 5 months ago, something like that. But for us was like, okay, there is some interaction here. The objects were colliding on top of other objects, and then returning to the position. So it was like we can explore this. Also, it was already multiplayer, so let's continue with this rough exercise. We started using generative AI. Roxana has some articles in her blog about which tools we use, which one has been useful or not. Also, we use for the advertising to create the concept art. So we wanted the style, we had this idea, we had all these things we did with other frameworks, and we started using generative AI for guiding us on the next step of how we are going to give some aesthetic to this game. And this is the was the first teaser we released, like when we were starting to already have some of the aesthetics inside the game. But Roxana is gonna talk, I think, in the blog about how we created also the video, right? So from this point, it's like, we were really rough. We're starting to construct. So from now on, if you want to play the game, maybe you want to skip this, because I'm gonna show part of the process that we use for constructing the game, which tools, right? So spoiler that, right? So digital creation tools is a concept. So we are developers. We come from a developer world. We are Swift developers, Apple developers for years. Roxana likes to say for 20 years of experience, and this is because I'm old. So we're developers. That means like when we started doing games, we have to learn many concepts. We have to learn do we have to model it? Do we have to create something like it looks like architecture? Storytelling, things that were not related to making an app, or at least on our day by day. So one of the first concepts we heard from Apple was like digital content creation tools. And it's like, what is this? DCC, what is this, right? And the problem is that if you want to do something on immersive, you need 3D models. And the 3D models, you really don't have an easy way to get them. So you either go and buy the 3D models, you go to Sketchfab, or you generate them, and that costs money. Or you go on the other side of the spectrum and you scan them. So if you have a tree, you go with your camera, you take photos, and you have like a 3D tree, right? And in the middle, and in the extreme, it's like you do it yourself. So you either go for scanning the reality, and that doesn't have really a creative control. It's what you have. You cannot really give another style of something that already exists, or you buy it, or you model yourself. So we really wanted to have like a creative control, but then that was like a proven to be really complex for us. So yeah, the tool that is supposed to be recommended, the DCC recommended for creation tools, is Blender, right? So Blender is free, ideal, right? So you go, you install Blender, exports to USD, which is the format that you can use on Vision Pro, and then you start working on it, and you really fast get to the point that I need to install an extension for do the thing I want, right? So I want hard surfaces, I want this on specific, and then you start to install extensions. And I was really conservative, I promise I was really conservative with extensions. But this is my list of the selected extensions, which went to up to 97 extensions that I had to install on Blender to make it work like I wanted, right? And not even there, right? So it was like a 97. Right, so I was really upset, really upset at that point, like, because every extension also you have to learn. So now Blender, you have to learn the extension, and then it was like to me like this reaction, like, what is going on Blender? And then it was like I should confront dragons and go to Houdini. This is the icon of side effects Houdini, which this is the QR I recommend to any developer. Has this mentality of procedural and iteration, and I'm going to explain why in the process it has been beneficial for us, right? So if there is somebody from side effects, yeah. So what I mean by procedural, so if you see at the left, this is the graph of every single step I did for getting to this model, right? And it's not like I was putting boxes to create a model. I was modeling, and this was a story in the story. So that means at any point I can parse the tree, and I can go back to any step, and I can change. So that means I can iterate. So if you want, for example, a cube and a sphere, and you want to do a Boolean operation, but then you create this sphere and you want to put that on, you only have to go steps back, and it's always something you can update, right? It's part of the assets that we use. After you have the assets, something that we use on our previous company is a software called Substance Painter, which is from Adobe. Now they buy it. It's for texturing, and this creates a PBR texture. So it's physical-based rendering, and you get these really incredible textures where you can see like the minor detail on every single one. And it generates this great mass of textures that you can later import in Ready Composer Pro, which we are going to do. So our pipeline right now is composed by Houdini, Substance Painter, and then we jump to the Ready Composer, right? That's it. So Ready Composer Pro is interesting. It's designed to be part of a pipeline where things change, right? Where the designer changes their minds, or the assets are not ready yet, and you have to go, right? You have to be working. You cannot wait for it, right? So Ready Composer Pro, the whole point of Ready Composer Pro is being able to change assets and not block the development. So pretty much it's a bridge. It works inside the package, and this is, for example, the asset where you play. This is the main level of our game right now. I'm pointing where the game with player is going to be, which is on, if you zoom in, really zoom, this is your perspective as a player. You're inside this ball in the future, and you have your challenge, and everything has been modeled on Houdini, and it's imported here, and then we have references that we use on Xcode and in our code. All of these parallel and can be, in fact, you can assign it to different teams. That's the advantage, right? You have a different teams that's working. One example of this pipeline is an asset of the game that we call Focus Blend, which is a game part of it, a game mechanic And this is what it takes to create. It's a bottle with a liquid inside, and you have to look through the bottle to see something. I told you there was a spoiler story. And so, this, you don't have to understand this graph, but pretty much what is happening here is that there is three different type of models of the bottle, and we have them, and you can export separately every bottle. You can export each part, which makes the composition of Ready Composer Pro much easier and a bit more in detail. So this is the model of the bottle. We have to make interactive the portal. The portal has to be assigned a part of the model. For those who don't know, a portal is a window to another world that you can insert in part of a model. And it's something that belongs to RealityKit. It doesn't belong to the 3D. So you need a way to map this portal to the model. So if you import this model in Ready Composer Pro, you can already see that thanks to cleaning, you have like a new nice structure, and you can access the mesh of what belongs to the liquid itself. So the work that you have to do after that is adding something called components, which is a way to hint your code that some part of the mesh can have some logic, which is like a great for developers, right? So what is a component, right? It's just, right, an struct. It's an struct that has to be callable because it has to be transmitted, and you say something like, yeah, I want this bottle to belong to one of these types, right? So this is going to be the Greek bottle, and that's it. And then when you have that, then you pretty much can see in your scene when you're running the game when a bottle has been added and which part of the bottle can contain apple. There is no more code in my presentation, sorry. So this is like the last part, but this was something about it that plays for it. After you have the recognition, you can filter and you can add. I will share this code later if you are doing something similar. This is the way that you can add part of your model certainly. So control absolute of the details. Fast forward, this was 2 days ago. We released beta 31. It's the first public beta we have of the game. And this is the game that we bring to the exhibition. That's the starting part of it. This is aesthetic as of now. This is in-game frames, recording of it. So you have all these devices. You don't know what to do. It's really complicated to solve. It's an escape room. How we are translating it, etc. And in fact, this technique has been so useful for creating the game that we had a booth on the exhibition, and we designed the booth doing the same technique. So we went to Houdini, we applied the texture, we created all these crazy flowers, and then we printed all this stuff. And yeah, people like it. So this was the booth. They came to play to the game. Huge success. People really involved, like in the floor. And you don't need to be on the floor, but people, for some reason, did enjoy to kind of be closer to the assets. We learned a lot. Yeah, so you can see how some tools know that if you go directly for the professional tools, like they're going to help you and create everything you have to do related to the game, right? So this is the game right now. And I would like to show you a bit of the live demo if we have time. Somebody? Yeah, no answer? That's right. So let me show you a bit. Of course it's going to fail, right? Let's see the network. Can you see it? Yeah, say hi. Yeah, later I'll record you. So, yeah, I think I dropped the game somewhere here. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, it was around there. I'm gonna move it slowly, right? Because for me it's really stable, right? But from outside it's like a really shaky.
Yes.
And of course, you don't have the experience that I'm having right now. For me, the thing, these letters are here. So the name technical piece is a volumetric window, and this is where I can place my game and then decide where to go. And when I start the game, I have this lovely transition. I don't know who made them, but it's beautiful. And every single one of these screens, you can go and walk around the table. Every single one of these screens is going to be one of your friends. You can connect with your friends up to 5 in Special Persona, and they're gonna be in charge with you to solve the mystery. The messages that are coming is something like, yeah, you don't know what you're doing, you need to solve it, now the password is around, right? Where are you? If I show you, this is where am I? So I'm in a dome, which is a part of the story. I'm not gonna reveal much. And it's really incredible when you're inside, because you are here, you feel there is some particles like pollen floating around you. And there is this sound that for me makes me be in another space, right? So all the immersiveness, and you're here. You have the device, I can take the device, I can take one of the bottles with another hand, I can put it here, and I can see, okay, I can come and maybe nest one of the bottles, and maybe I can put it on top of it. I know the solution, right? So it's easy. And then I can do this type of interaction, like being able to still projecting, yes,
Yeah.
right? So all these solutions about like being able to grab and take, and when there is another person, give it to you, and looking through. So now this is the bottle that you saw that we were constructing, and now it's red because it's the component that is assigning a new material, right? And in fact, we know there is a portal because I can go and see through it, and I'm gonna see probably, you see the reflections, right? It's like super realistic, and it's gonna be really hard, but I see a number 2 there. Okay, and if I see here, then maybe I see the number 3, and so on. So you get the password, and once you have the password, you have to figure out this machine that we are thinking that maybe it's too complicated, but pretty much I'm going to give the solution. And that's it. I completed it. This is my first puzzle. I should have figured out myself. Yeah. And now I'm gonna remove it, and I'm gonna film a video of you lovely people. So prepare for it. And video, special video, and 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Hello, hello. So thank you very much. Go.
Thanks so much for sharing. I use Blender a lot, and I also quite curious about Houdini. But like Houdini, they have the free version and the paid version. Is it enough to use the free version to do this kind of workflow?
So yes and no.
Okay.
So the free version is absolutely unlocked. There is no limitation except for the formats that you export. That's the limitation, and a bit of rendering inside.
Okay.
But everything else is active, and Houdini comes with many extensions installed and simulation. So for learning Houdini, free is enough because it's complete Houdini, right? What you can use, the thing I recommend, especially if you are a student, is the student version.
Yeah.
The student version is really cheap. And about the price, right? An extension in Blender can be $30, $6. There is an extension of $100, and Houdini license is about $100 too, right? So it's not an expensive software. I will tell, study it. If you like it, do it for free. Study it. If you like it, then pay educational or the core, which are around 100, less than 200.
So it's not subscription.
Yes,
Oh,
licenses per year. Everything is subscription this year, except us. Not subscription, right? We are not going to be subscription.
Okay.
Is recording of this? Maybe we say online.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for sharing. I'm interested in your remote working tech stack. Like
Yeah.
you mentioned you did remote work.
Yeah.
And then you did something that increased the communication.
Well, so when we started, right, we're really big company mentality, right? So we have our AI agent in the meeting, like a parse in the meeting, and then the summaries and action points, and doing like everything. So we set up everything like our own company. We have like a ticket system. We have like what else? We have like a Google Drive and everything like that. It was everything automated, and it didn't work for us. It didn't work for a small team. So what we did for improve efficiency was removing most of that. It's like a FaceTime. We don't record anything. We have as long meetings as we need. We don't even go for the stand-ups 15 minutes straight. What we do is as long as we need, and we present in the space, it's immersive, and you cannot believe how much it improves your focus. You go to Bora Bora or one of the immersive spaces of the moon, and you are with the other person in that space, and everything. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but what I'm trying to say is that even if we believe that some tools improve efficiency, yeah, sometimes they don't simply, right? It's much more valuable, the social cues, right? Now I'm looking at you, I'm doing this gesture, we can do this, and all this stuff we can do with a special persona, and it's not a gimmick, it's unvaluable for teams, and I totally recommend it. If you can have this experience, do it, because it's not a gimmick, it really improves your communication.